consider our town a good place to inspire, to paint, to write, to take the photograph? What do you think is what it attracts people here to do all that? Because we have a lot of that. It is so good because it's so beautiful having those kind of people. That's the kind of people we want in town, you know? They have inspiration.
I loved here in the beginning. The light is always good year round. Even when it's raining and storming, you get that great light coming in and out. It's spectacular.
Yeah.
It's like Technicolor, and the texture of the desert meeting the water. All of those things combined. I mean, in the winter, it's like a jungle here. After it rains and everything blooms, and then in 5 months, it's a desert. There's nothing green, nothing happening anywhere. So I think for painters, especially, that delight is the draw.
It calls my attention because it says beautiful on endless roads of the imagination. Anything and art is possible.
Yeah, I put that.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean about that is like, for example, one of the beauties of Todos Santos is that the other day, for example, I decided to walk to my mother-in-law's house. She lives in one of the barrios in the afternoon, the sun's setting, and it's beautiful. As I'm walking there, I'm like going, this is just beautiful. I'm walking through the barrio. I see the kids laughing and screaming. Some ladies are putting the clothes from the clothesline in the house. I can smell somebody's baking something. The husband's just getting to the house. This sounds magical. And I'm leaving it in just one block from this town. That inspires me. That inspired me to create stories about those kids on the street, you know, that maybe they become surreal or something. So I'm thinking, I love this moment right now. This is beautiful. I love it here. This is all I need this very moment. And once I walk away from here, it's going to change. And in a few years, it's going to change. So right now, it's the most precious moment for me. And that's what Todos Santos is about. It's a lot of people say that there's crystals underneath. A lot of people say that there's portals and things like that, the energy. But I really think it's the people.
Una pregunta personal, ¿qué te mantiene aquí con tantas carencias, a veces arriesgando tu vida, haciendo el sacrificio, dejando a tu familia? ¿Qué es lo que te mantiene aquí al pie del cañón?
El amor a mi pueblo. El amor al pueblo, porque es bonito ayudar a la gente. Ahora ya estoy un poco más retirado. Y tal vez por la edad, pero antes era mucho más activo. Pero siento que desde que entré al cuerpo bombero fue algo que me ayudó mucho y es algo tan bonito que difícil de que mucha gente lo entienda, porque sí implica mucho sacrificio. Por ejemplo, yo a mi familia, cuando yo empecé a ir a Estados Unidos, lo dejaba 7, 10 días solo, buscaba dinero, les dejaba que comer. Entonces yo me iba a Estados Unidos a traer ambulancias, a traer equipo.
Ajá.
Equipo que me daban porque yo iba por él. Por ejemplo, las personas en Estados Unidos confiaron tanto en mí que me dijeron, ¿sabes qué? Cuando yo hice las primeras peticiones de equipo, me dijo, no, me dijo, si tú vienes como municipio, si vienes como delegación, no, me dijo, la cosa te la vamos a dar a ti de forma personal.
I hope I gave more to the community than I took. I really do, because this place has been so kind to me. I mean, honestly, it's been so kind. When I was recovering, from cancer, Tregalini would send me food. Alex, who was a triage doctor with the Médecins Sans Frontières, with Doctors Without Borders, would come, and how can you replace that generosity? I mean, they've had such a kind time. And in fact, it was really funny that the day of the elections in America, and I'm not going to get into politics, but I am.
Please.
The day of the elections in America, when Mr. Trump was elected, I was very sad. I was sad. That's my prerogative. I'm English.
Yes, I like
And I went to Salgalos But I was at Salgado's, and I would buy some pumpkins for the pigs, and I dropped one on my foot, and they'd be,
Oh my God.
and I screamed with pain, and I was feeling a bit emotional anyway. And suddenly there were 4 or 5 people around. A chair appeared for me to sit on. Somebody came with some ice, and then I was fine. You know, it was just, it hurt when it happened.
Of course.
And then 2 men offered to carry my shopping to the car, and I got in my car, and this sounds ridiculous, but I just cried. And I went by Jess Flatt's house, and I said, Jess, I had the most extraordinary experience. And I don't know, it's, I know I'm going to sound like a crazy old hippie, and okay, but it was such a powerful contrast in what was going on here, and how if you're an older person, you're nurtured and cared for and looked after, and what one was about to see in El Norte. It was a very powerful moment for me.
Why not? I said, I'll call you. And he says, no, you can't call. There are no telephones. You can only send a telegram. So I filed that thought away. The name was Todos Santos or something like that. And I'd never been to Mexico. And I got into a little trouble in Hollywood. And my agent said to me, go somewhere where no one can reach you and I'll handle this problem. Where no one can call you. And I thought, oh, there's a place I heard of where no one could call. And so I rented a brand new Camaro in Beverly Hills and headed to Mexico. I thought it was, 3 hours away, right? From Los Angeles to the border.
Yeah.
But when I got there, I looked at the map and Todos Santos was 1,000 miles. But I couldn't turn back. And so I headed down to Todos Santos for the first time in the winter of 1981. And that was my first time here.
And once you were here, what was your first thoughts about this place?
Well, I sent a telegram to my agent. I said, can I come back, please? No, stay. A little dirt road town. Nobody spoke English. There were only a few English speakers here, and the rest was a town that had experienced an economic boom during the sugar industry and a bust. And many of the younger people and people who needed to work had left for La Paz or the mainland. So the town was kind of empty.
In the 80s.
In the 80s, and so it was agricultural and fishing, and there were only 2 restaurants in town and no hotels, and I loved it. I thought it was pretty amazing.
Did you come here by yourself, with your family?
Well, I came here, I was single at the time, and I came here pretty much by myself, and I stayed in a bed and breakfast that called itself the Todos Santos Inn.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a lady from Petaluma, California, and her 2 teenage daughters. And that's where I stayed. I looked at the guest book. Oh my God, John Kennedy Jr. stayed here, and
Really?
a lot of people had come through town,
Wow.
adventurous people, but there were also the surfers. This was a secret spot for surfers from Southern California. A lot of the top surfers from Encinitas and Cardiff and the South Bay towns had discovered this place, and they kept it quiet. And a few of them started to live here, but on and off.
Then I got a little older. I got closer to 50 and so on, and then I had to take a little bit more time. Now I'm well past 50,
Of course. Yeah.
and the big 80 is just looming around the corner. But as long as I keep moving, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy to move.
No, definitely. You are a great example of, because even when you don't want to do it, you know, it's like a inspiration for me. It's when we take long walks, and we are training for this adventure in July. Seeing you, seeing Karen, you know, all the group are a little older than me.
Yes.
And they said, if they keep moving, if they keep doing it, I can do it. So what inspires you when you don't feel like doing it? What it triggers you to, let's go for it? Or if you have done so much during the weekend, this long walk that we do in the weekends, 10, 15 miles sometimes, what it moves you into going?
Well, doing the long walks and getting in the miles in preparation for this adventure hike, the motivation is you ladies, is, you know, I want to keep,
the other way
I want to keep up with you, and I have to work at keeping up with you. Here, when we come to class, as soon as the music comes on, I am motivated. As soon as the music comes on.
Right.
Pues yo abrí en 2017, cuando tú llegaste también. Fue cuando yo salí del trabajo que tuve por casi 5 años, a los 9 meses tenía ya la idea concretada, ya estaba el espacio listo, etcétera, ya tenía todo, y un día invité a mis primas a desayunar y nunca aparecieron, y ya había hecho roles de canela. Entonces nunca llegaron y la gente tocó la puerta, así fue. La gente tocó la puerta y por el olor, yo pienso que los roles de canela tienen mucho olor. De verdad, mira. Y ese fue el primer día que hablé, fue un 7 de enero, con una charola de roles de canela, así. Yo sola. Qué bonito. Sí, yo sola, y pues así estuve poco a poco. Luego de los roles, no, pues una galleta. Y luego una galleta en un muffin. Y luego un brownie. Que los brownies son súper populares. Sí. Y luego así se fue incrementando el menú gracias a ahora que ya hay más gente. Está Cintia, está mi hermano trabajando. Sí. Y ahorita ya hay 2 personas más. Pero así fue, la verdad, fue casi por un error que se abrió ahí.
So anyway, we got to be friendly, and he told me about this beautiful village, an oasis in the desert, you know, which you couldn't get up here because there wasn't a road that had been completed. So he brought me up here through the ranches.
Wow.
And came here, and I walked into this plaza. This was in 1988, and it was abandoned, and there was a little sign in the window of my building. For sale, and I said, do you know anything about this building? He said, well, I can find out. At that time, he had moved up here with Julian Garcia, and so all the locals knew him. He was the Italian, you know, Italian, he was new, the only Italian, the one Italian, you know. So he found out who was representing or knew something about it. And I walked in, it was completely destroyed with 2 pieces of wood on the door. It had been abused because people had used it badly for the festivities in the plaza.
Oh,
so
like a storage.
Exactly. It was that was bathrooms and stuff. And something said to me, buy this building. So I inquired, and I bought it. And this was 1988.
1998. And the building itself is a restoration from 1800s, right?
That's right. It was built by a doctor.
Right.
And the first part of the building, which is quite obvious because of the vigas and the walls are adobe, I restored it. And I love this building. Something told me to buy it, and I know, and every day I know why, because I just love this place.
One of my stories to you, and I think I shared this with you, is that I have a wedding invitation. My husband and I were going to La Paz to pick up our wedding invitations because nothing in Cabo at that time, you know. That was in 1995, and on our way back, we stopped in the restaurant, obviously, as many of the local Cabo people.
Yes.
Used to be a obligated stuff. And next to us was a big table, and I cannot want to recognize his face because I was a fan, you know, the 90s. And I said, John, I know who he is. And John's like, who? It's John Bon Jovi. He turned around and said, oh yeah, I think he is. I'm going to ask him to sign our wedding invitation. No, don't do that. Don't do that. And I think it's because people like to come here to have
Yes, we
peace.
never put pictures. I never asked for. But I had come from that background of being around a lot of celebrities too, so I kind of knew how much they enjoyed their
Do you
privacy.
have photos with them?
No, I didn't. You know, some, but it's not something that you know. People are. If the plumber comes in here, he's the same as Bon Jovi
Right.
to me.
Oh, that's nice.
That's something that I like about myself. You know, we're all people. We're all the same. But the celebrities that did come in here, I think the atmosphere, which was nice for you to go over pleasantly
Yeah.
and not stand there and stare, you
No,
know.
no,
and
no. I didn't ask for
but-
photo.
Exactly. and he received you well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because he knew they were gonna get married, and probably it's like, okay, whatever, you know, it's a big deal. So
yeah.
I'm gonna do it. Who else came?
Oh God, one of my favorite, David Bowie came up.
David Bowie. Wow,
and,
that's a big one.
Spent 5 hours with us, and he was, how do you say, recouping from life and drugs and things like that. And I actually knew his wife at that time, Iman, the
Iman,
beautiful
yeah.
model who I'd known in LA. And people running around and heard that he was in Cabo, and here he was sitting here.
How you feel about the growing? I mean, because, you know, I'm in real estate business. And I'm always feel, and I was sharing this with John Moreno because I interviewed him too. He's one of the people that really advocating for a good growth, you know, with the balance on infrastructure and same time, you know, bringing new commerce, but having the support of the infrastructure that the town needs to grow equal, right?
I would go back in time before this place was on the map. In those days, the foreigners who lived here, mostly Americans, Canadians, and some Italians, those people moved here because they wanted to be part of the culture. They loved Mexico. They wanted to be in Mexico. Now many people move here and they don't really want to be in Mexico. They just want to be at the beach. And they don't have a love for the community. They don't understand how people live here and survive and what it takes to raise a family here. The place has grown now so that many children, when they grow up, can't afford to live here. They have to go up somewhere else because the land is too expensive now for them to build a house. And, you know, all of this is, it's sad. That's how I really feel. It's sad. And to be able to build a very big place because construction is so much cheaper here than it is in the US, and the land doesn't cost as much, and all of this.
Right.
This is a place where, okay, if you tried to have the lifestyle that people have here, I mean the people in the big houses out there, in LA or in San Diego, you'd have to have millions of dollars to live that way. You know, you live here. You wouldn't want to live in Cabo San Lucas. You love it here.
Why? What was the turning point in your life that decides for you to become an activist?
Well, there really wasn't a turning point. To be honest, I have been educated, formed, and molded by my parents, by my surroundings, and by my education my entire life.
I see.
And the opportunities that I have had, the life experiences, and the education that I was given at a very young age, I was able to understand certain fundamental truths that as human beings, we are a part of this world, and that our place is not to be the owners and the overlords, but we have a place that's in balance. And in fact, we have a very special and unique position in this world setting. And I am also, before I became an attorney, I was a biologist in the state university.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Why do you know that?
I'm a marine biologist. I was doing my internship in the CIBNOR, but I understood that there was very little financial future. I love and very passionate about that knowledge, but there's very little future. And I somehow wasn't even in my plans to be an attorney and just became one. But even through the biology standpoint, I understand that we are part of this living organism that's this planet. I consider it to be our mother. And as such, we have a responsibility to keep a balance and to help this world evolve. So I knew that that we need to find our place to be able to provide service towards the greater good, towards finding that balance, that harmony. And so I've always tried to strive for doing things that's worthwhile, that's for the good of ourselves, the earth, and just trying to do the right thing.
Right. Here with Paul Ricaldi. He's one of the founders of the Panteon 19 in Todos Santos. And we're going to learn a lot about this place, the building, the community that they have created around this concept. And let's start with, tell us a little bit where you come from. What is your background?
Sure. I came from San Francisco. I was born in San Francisco, live in Berkeley now. Mm-hmm. The influences for Panteon, that's one of the things I may be jumping ahead here, but just the idea of what, my mother was a concert pianist, classical pianist, and my uncle, my mother's brother, was a self-taught piano player. And he knew all the people in San Francisco back in the day, like Cal Tjader and Vince Guaraldi, the guy that did Peanuts. He knew him. And so I was around music a lot when I was a kid. Right. And that wasn't necessarily a complete inspiration to anything. It's just that I heard a lot of music. Right. I can't play an instrument, but I can hear things that most people maybe can't, or I just pick up on stuff that's different. Right. And so that was one of the, you told me about this podcast, is one of the things I thought about, like what led me to something like this, and that may be just the start of it. Then there's a few other things that I did.
We have a choice. We, as human beings floating around in the world, we can be out in the natural environment and look for something that we like and look for something where we're comfortable. And then the other side of all the choosing you get to do as a person is in the built environment. So my idea is to bring all of those elements that you enjoyed in the natural environment and try and include as many as you can in the built environment. So there you're back to light, air, the volume that you choose to be in, and not trapped by, because generally you don't ever feel trapped in the natural environment, and I sure don't want to feel trapped in a house. Here, it was the local vernacular and historical architecture was huge impact on me. So I took it on myself to make the translation and incorporate all the things that we found in the vernacular here into the work that I could do. When we were first looking at the house that we ended up buying, it had a palapa roof. And that staggered me because it's not a small house. And it wasn't an inexpensive house. And I'm thinking to myself, how does this work? We have a house like this, and it's got a roof made out of palm leaves. I went through that one and started looking around as to how that material was the natural resource here and how well it worked. So it ended up for me that I put a lot of palapa roofs on my projects. But it staggered me to begin with.
Yes.
Es más que mercado ranchero, que es un lugar donde se compra y se venden cosas, es más como un lugar de comunidad, donde tienes que ir y donde puedes platicar y donde te puedes sentar y donde puedes comer, pero también puedes surtir tu producto fresco y comprar algún tipo de artesanías para regalar o para ayudar. También tenemos restauraciones de muebles de madera regional, entonces es un conjunto de todo, ¿no? Entonces por eso te decía que a Mercado Ranchero no es que nomás trabajas un día, sí, le digo, trabajo un día presencial, pero tenemos 6 días atrás que tenemos a mí termino el mercado y ya me está sonando el teléfono necesitamos esto o esto otro. Entonces en cuanto a la artesanía, yo estoy muy muy contenta porque la artesanía es parte de la identidad cultural subcaliforniana. Entonces para mí, una de las cosas más importantes que tiene como una meta y un objetivo y una meta, este proyecto es la promoción de la cultura rural subcaliforniana. Eso es para mí el estandarte, de esta tienda, ¿no? El hecho que tengas una tienda de artesanías con productos que mucha gente no sabe, que no conoce que Baja California Sur tiene un cuchillo típico, tradicional, ¿no? Entonces, ¿cómo? Sí, es un cuchillo que se hace de más de 150 años y lo hacen en la comunidad de Las Ánimas y es un cuchillo representativo del estado. No, en Sierra de la Giganta.